100.7 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and chilly overnight, although not as cold as last night. We'll dip to 35 this evening. Tomorrow, we're cloudy all day long, scattered showers and a high of just 44. Chilly all week and wet until Friday afternoon when the sun pops. High in the upper 40s and low 50s, with nighttime lows in the upper 30s and low 40s. I'm Kevin Cohen with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Let us be the first to wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas if you're heading out somewhere. Happy Hanukkah for those of you who are celebrating Hanukkah, which began yesterday. So it's that time of year. It's the week of important things coming up. And then next week will be the week of the bowl game. So 2 more weeks to go before we get down to business with the bowl games next week in Florida with the Gamecocks and the Tigers heading to Florida, and the Chanticleers actually heading to an even balmier location in Birmingham, Alabama. Chris Bergen is with us from the HTC Center at Coastal Carolina. He's got basketball tonight. Heck of a matchup, Coastal Carolina and the College of Charleston. Get a preview from him on that in just a moment. Busy weekend over at USC recruiting-wise, as the Gamecocks had a lot of people in. They got 4 commitments over the weekend. Maybe some others are pending. Well, at least, there are, I think there are 3 hanging out there, because at one point Beamer had 7 unclaimed alerts, and then 4 of them came forward. So I think there's still 3 out there between the 23 and the 24 classes. Of course, signing day is coming up on Wednesday. Looking forward to that, to seeing how everything unfolds. I think everything is pretty much in place for Clemson. I think they've got their class together. They've got their commitments from their high school guys, and unless there's a transfer out there that they decide to take, they might be pretty well set. South Carolina's still working some guys like Lenora Sellers, for example, and a couple of other guys who are in this weekend. Got to keep an eye on Vakari Swain, one of their commitments, who took an official visit to Colorado over the weekend. Deion Sanders going out and shaking the trees, right? Shaking things up a little bit since taking over there at Colorado, even though he went 0-2 against the MEAC in the Celebration Bowl in the 2 times that he got into that with Jackson State. So we got all that to talk about. Congratulations to the South Carolina Shrine Bowl team. Great win on Saturday for them as they took care of business against North Carolina. And their stars did it. They shined. Lenora Sellers at quarterback, and Jarvis Green at running back in particular. Tyler Brown at wide receiver. So those guys got it done. Always appreciate the great work of the Shrine Bowl team from South Carolina when they can get it done and beat the Tar Heels. Basketball over the weekend. The crazy Clemson basketball team. I mean, they're really good or they're really bad. I mean, they just destroyed Richmond on Saturday. I didn't see that coming. And then there's the Gamecocks, and it's going to be a long season is all I got to say. It's already been a long season. It's only going to get longer when they get into SEC play. Based on how they have performed here recently, Georgetown notwithstanding, they got handled by East Carolina. Slow start, tried to rally, couldn't catch up, and they take a loss in Greenville. Love the idea. Furman got a win over Sam Houston State. Chris, I hope that event has some life to it. I love the idea of a basketball winter festival up in Greenville. If you've got South Carolina, Furman, and Clemson all involved, I think they can make something special of that. As far as the interest in basketball in our state goes that time of the year, maybe they can make something out of it.
Phil, you know how I feel about neutral site anything, but in terms of our state in particular, if there's a way to get the Gamecocks and the Tigers in Wofford or Furman or the College of Charleston or Coastal or any of the other teams on the same floor at some point in time on the same day, I think it's only a win-win. I agree with you. I hope that has some sticking power to it, because I think it could blossom into something nice that the teams would look forward to, and an opportunity for Furman to be on the same court and get maybe some of the fans who would normally watch Clemson and South Carolina to stick around and watch them. And I think it builds basketball here in our state. One thing about the Gamecocks, and you're right, slow starts. That's something Lamont Paris is going to have to address. This is a team that's played pretty well in the second half of games, but unfortunately they've been out of so many games by halftime it's not mattered. They've got to find a way to get off to better starts. I don't know how they do that, but if they're not going to address the problem they're having in the first 20 minutes, the back half of the ball game, the final 20 minutes aren't going to matter. And G.G. Jackson is playing about as well as you could have possibly have hoped for him. But he can't carry that team by himself. He needs some help. And they've got to find a way to do a much better job of starting ball games the way they're finishing games. Like I said, they played pretty well in the second half. They've just been miserable in the opening half of games.
Yeah, absolutely. Meantime, the USC women continue to, it wasn't even funny what they did to Charleston Southern Sunday, up 35-6. And they remain number one in the AP women's basketball ranking. Now, Shane Beamer is having his call-in show tonight, and we'll pass along any notes that he might share with his audience. One thing that has not been reported elsewhere that John Whittle wrote the other night at thebigspur.com, and he wrote that Dylan Wanham had not been practicing. Hopefully Beamer will confirm this tonight. Dylan Wanham has not been practicing, and he, John Whittle, did not expect Wanham to be with the Gamecock football team for the bowl game. And instead, he's going ahead to start, working on his preparation for the NFL, whatever that means when these guys opt out because they're preparing for the NFL. So that's another starter. The Gamecocks will be down against Notre Dame. So this team's basically going to be a shell of itself, Chris, by the time they get to Jacksonville. They better get them on the bus tonight and get on down to Jacksonville. Think about it. They're going to be without their running backs. They're going to be without their tight ends. They're going to be without their starting right tackle. They're going to be without Josh Van is probably not going to play. Can't expect him to play coming off that injury. And I think Wells is there. I think he's going to play. And defensively, they're down the starting nose tackle, down defensive ends, out with some safeties, a corner. Both corners are gone. How are they going? And one thing Notre Dame's going to do, they're going to line up and run the football, right? Don't you expect Notre Dame to come out like they did against Clemson, especially with their quarterback situation being a little bit iffy, especially with their star tight end gone, their top receiver? I would imagine they're going to load up and try and run the football behind that big offensive line.
They would be fools not to, Phil. Watching them and what they were able to do against the Clemson defensive front and just manhandle them up front for that ball game and dominate both lines of scrimmage. That has to be the game plan. Starting quarterback out, notwithstanding, because they can run the football and their offensive line is as good as anyone in the country. But here's the bigger problem you have. If you're a Gamecock fan and you were so excited the way the season ended, you knocked off Tennessee, blew them out, embarrassed them at home, ended their chance to go to the college football playoff, and then you snap all those streaks against Clemson in the Tigers' opportunity to go to the college football playoff, and then you find out you're going to face Notre Dame in a Gator Bowl, a bowl that you've been wanting to go to as a fan to watch your team play for years. And what are you watching? You're going down there to see a shell, as you pointed out, of your former team, and this is the problem we've got with bowl games. I don't know how you fix it. I just don't. But for the Gamecocks, if they lose by 20 points, is it because Notre Dame was that much better than them, or Notre Dame's just better than South Carolina's basically JV team?
Well, I just want to go back to what I've suggested before, and that is that a scholarship or whatever you sign with a team is a binding document, and you're bound for that season for every game that they play unless you are physically unable or academically unable to play. And if you don't, then, I mean, you should have to give something back. You should have to give back a part of your scholarship or NIL money that they've paid you, whatever. There's got to be some consequences. But until a coach stands up and makes a stink about it, instead of just accepting it as the way it is today, which is how they do react to it, because I think they're scared of upsetting anything in recruiting. Anything that you say negatively about one of your players doing something will come back and be used against you in recruiting, and they're very concerned about that image. But I mean, until a coach stands up with a spine and a backbone and said, this isn't right for a player to leave his team, you got plenty of time to prepare for the NFL draft. And, you know, then people bring up the injury aspect. Well, again, you can get hurt preparing for the NFL draft just about as much as you can playing in a game. I mean, I think the safest place to be is on the practice field with your team, don't you think? I mean, barring the freak injury where it just happens, and we see that happen, it happens. It's football. Freak injuries do happen. But by and large, you're not going through a lot of contact. You're under great supervision by your coaches and trainers. It would seem to me that would be the safest place to be.
I would agree. And the other problem is you talked about coaches not wanting to call out players who don't show up or opt out of games because that may hurt them in recruiting. Let's assume for a moment Notre Dame blitzes South Carolina, wins big. What's the first question Shane Beamer is going to be asked? How difficult was it for you to try and prepare for a team like Notre Dame with half your roster not available? What's he going to say? I mean, he should be able to come out and say, yeah, we didn't have our full team. Our full team would have performed much, much better. And at that point in time, how much momentum have you lost from the season? What does that affect you? Probably won't hurt it in recruiting, I wouldn't think, because signing day is this week. But nonetheless, it's so watered down what it's done to the bowl season now. And Gamecock fans and Tiger fans and anybody who's not playing in the college football playoff right now, not losing players, has got to be disappointed that they're not going to be able to see the team that ended the regular season playing these bowl games.
Agree 100%. And again, we've thrown out ideas, suggestions, and nothing is imminent as far as addressing this particular situation, because I guess they don't see it as a particular situation. I guess they feel with the playoffs expanding here in a couple of years, now you're going to go from having 4 teams in the playoffs to having 24 teams in the playoffs. Okay, so that's 24 out of 129 FBS teams making the playoffs, right? There's 129 FBS teams, 24 of 129 making. And then, I mean, practically, if all those bowl games are still around, practically everybody else is going to go to a bowl game. How are you going to fill out the bowl slate with only what's 129 minus it's 100? That's 105 teams left to fill out the rest of the bowl slate, and we've got roughly what 30 something. The point is you're going to have to dip into teams with losing. How many eligible teams, winning record teams will be there to be able to fill those bowl slots unless they start taking teams with losing records, just taking them regardless.
Well, and not to dispute your point, but you've got to confuse between the amount of teams versus the amount of games. They're not expanding by 24 teams. They're expanding to 12 teams. But nonetheless.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, not 12
Rick.
games,
yeah.
12 teams. But nonetheless, you're still going to run in that. Well, heck, we've had it now. I mean, Rice played in a bowl game over the weekend. They were 5-7. I mean, how much further do we have to fall back? You're going to take 4-8 teams, 3-9 teams? The postseason in college football, it's such a shame. You're taking away the playoffs, but you've got the greatest regular season in all of sports, and probably the worst postseason in all of sports.
Yeah.
Guys, out of curiosity though, I'm just curious. So there's 42 bowl games, if I'm correct. I think it's 42 or 43 this year. We're really arguing over whether we should keep around games for 5 and 7 teams to play in. Like, is this really worth advocating for? Like, what is more?
No, we're not. We're not advocating for it. But, ESPN is going to keep their television slate. They're not going to cut bowl games because that's TV. That's TV outlets for them. That's outlets for games.
Right, sure.
And that's audience for them. As well as I do, Pat, that's the purpose these games exist. The Myrtle Beach Bowl is a ESPN event. It's owned by ESPN. It's not really done for the people of Myrtle Beach, not really done for the fans of the two teams. I mean, Chris, you're there on campus. How many fans were at that game today?
I did not go by the stadium. I was asking some of the folks that had to work the game, obviously, today. They estimated maybe 10 to 12,000 in a stadium that seats just under 20.
Mm-hmm.
So they felt like it was a really good crowd. And part of that is you got a team like Marshall, and for whatever reason, folks in West Virginia love South Carolina. They love the beaches. They love this area of our state. Who can blame them? We all do. But they come down here with great frequency. A couple of years ago, Marshall was in the Myrtle Beach Invitational, the basketball tournament that Coastal hosts, and they had great crowds when they played. And I would bet, and again, only got to see a little bit of it on television and listen to some of it on the radio, but I would bet of those 10 to 12,000, probably 7,000, 8,000 of them were Marshall fans.
I wouldn't be surprised. They've always traveled well. With their team, whether it's in football or basketball. So
I'd be curious to see in 5 years, and we'll love to hear just y'all's quick answer on this. In 5 years, let's flash forward. Which do you think is going to be more likely for us to see? Half at most of current bowl games, or to see players being fined for opting out of bowl games?
Yeah, that's correct. I don't know. I don't know what direction it's going to move in. Yeah.
I'll turn that around a little bit, Pat, because I like your thinking. I think we'll actually see in 5 years players being paid to stay and play in bowl games, as opposed to being fined for opting out.
You mean like getting a
games.
bonus? Like getting a bonus?
Yeah,
for staying
sort of an NIL stipend. Yep, to come play in the bowl game.
Sort of like coaches getting a bonus for maybe like graduating their players, which should really be part of their job to begin with.
Absolutely.
So, in other words, we're going to pay them to do what they should be doing to begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I hear you. It goes against the common sense meter, but yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. All right, let's go to the break. When we come back, we'll get to your phone calls, 888-898-2525. Of course, going to have a huge recruiting wrap-up for you tonight. Jerry Brown, the Shrine Bowl coach, will join us at 7:30 to talk about the week in Spartanburg and winning that game on Saturday and his thoughts about how all that went down. And outside of that, we'll just take your phone calls and kick around things. 888-898-2525 is the number. It's Sports Talk on a Monday after. Back in a moment.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
Hi, I'm Jim Corbett. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years. There's one thing I've learned about injury cases. It's you need the personal touch. You need the lawyer to get to know you and describe your damages. You don't want a case manager talking to an insurance company, then talking to you, and then talking to maybe to a lawyer with limited experience at the last minute to try to settle a case. I talk to you, I find out what your case is about. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com for your injury cases.
We're with Major Billy Downer of DNR. Of course, hunting is very popular across the state of South Carolina. Major Downer, what things should our hunters be thinking about before they get out in the fields?
It seems like every other show we're talking about hunting safety of some sort. Whether it's turkey season or deer season, hunters always need to be aware of their target. Make sure before you pull that trigger that you know what you're looking at. Whether it's a turkey during turkey season or a deer during deer season, you know your identifying features of your game. You know what's beyond that target in case you miss.
Learn more about the great outdoors in South Carolina with Major Billy Downer on SC Wild here on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, our phone number, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. And since 2002, more than $999 million in lottery proceeds have been used to support K through 12 programs in South Carolina. Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/education. Wins and playing for fun is a win for education. On his call-in show tonight, Shane Beamer, according to Ben Portnoy of the State, said that Josh Vann is very, very, very doubtful, and Devontae Reed is banged up, and we'll see. So I would expect, obviously, Vann is out, and probably Reed as well, if you go by the Beamer meter when it comes to describing the health of players. When he uses words like that, I haven't seen them play. So I would say that those guys are probably out for South Carolina. So the list of absentees continues to grow. A recruiting note here, because it just came out. Cameron Robinson, a linebacker from Virginia who visited USC over the weekend, he's been a Virginia commit, tweeted out he's going to sign publicly at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. I'm sure he's going to sign earlier in the day, I would think. His tweet, he's in a Virginia uniform from his visit to Virginia. So that might be an indication about what he's going to do. He was at South Carolina over the weekend for an official visit. But again, he sent out his tweet in a Virginia uniform. So we'll see what comes of that. We go to the phones, and Hank in Colatown. Welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Corn.
Yes, sir.
Corn, I think it's going to be, I know we want to all preach the narrative, but I think it's going to be an interesting game with South Carolina and Notre Dame. And I think that's why I still have them only as a 3-point favorite, because I went to the Notre Dame board as you were reading off that list of folks that were going to be out for South Carolina. And in addition to those 3 first-rounders, they had a list of about another 7 or 8 guys that had been starters at some point during the year or had been the prominent players who were going to be out because of some injuries and stuff that had happened in the latter part of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with South Carolina, Pickens on defense, I think would really be I think the defense will pretty much be intact other than Pickens, because even with the corners out, I was looking over Notre Dame's sketch. They don't throw the ball practically hardly at all, and that's now with a freshman, they're going to try out I think a freshman or a redshirt freshman as the quarterback, since their quarterback went into the portal. So,
well, I'm not so sure. I mean, maybe so, but I think the original starting quarterback, from what I had read last week, the original starting quarterback was back practicing. The guy that Drew Pine, by the way, Drew Pine is going to Arizona State. So why do you leave Notre Dame to go to Arizona State? But anyway, the guy that was the original starter has been back practicing. At least he was early on, coming off his injury. And who knows, he could be a guy that you're going to have to deal with there at quarterback for Notre Dame. Tyler Buckner. Tyler Buckner, I believe it is.
They kind of mentioned him and the freshman, so I don't know if he's just not that great of a quarterback or what, because he had been back. But
well, it's going to be a game of secrets going in, because I guess the Gamecocks will be in the dark about who will be Notre Dame's quarterback, and Notre Dame will be in the dark about who's going to be calling plays for South Carolina and what the Gamecocks are going to try and do. Buckner this year, he played in 2 games. He was 28 of 50 in those 2 games, 378 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's going to be interesting, because if you look at it, South Carolina, obviously with the running back situation, but basically what we've done if South Carolina kind of goes in that same mode they went the last 2 games, they're basically going to go attack like they did Tennessee and Clemson through the air. And I think when they played Clemson, I watched that game. That was the biggest issue. Was one of those DJ Uiagalelei throwing games. You know, he had games he threw well, and that was one of them games where he was kind of all over the place. And I think they even tried the other guy, but he didn't fare well either.
Well, I think
it's going to be interesting. I think all teams are dealing with this right now. And all teams is kind of a toss-up in terms of when they get to the bowl game, what's going to happen.
Let me say this, with Wanham not playing, I guess, in all likelihood, I mean, the Gamecock offensive line, which has not been great, but had gotten a little bit better, that weakens them there at the right side. Be right back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and chilly overnight, although not as cold as last night. We'll dip to 35 this evening. Tomorrow, we're cloudy all day long, scattered showers and a high of just 44. Chilly all week and wet until Friday afternoon when the sun pops, high in the upper 40s and low 50s, with nighttime lows in the upper 30s and low 40s. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
When I served in Iraq and Afghanistan, my buddies and I would do anything for each other. That's important whether you're in a firefight or fighting to regain your life. When I came home injured, there are people I can count on, like DAV.
DAV, Disabled American Veterans, stands behind America's veterans to make their transition back home easier with free services and help getting the benefits they've earned. Help us fulfill the promise to our men and women who served. Go to DAV.org to learn more.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the Supreme Court is temporarily blocking an order that would lift pandemic-era restrictions on asylum seekers. But it's leaving open the prospect of lifting those restrictions by Wednesday. The order Monday by Chief Justice John Roberts comes as conservative states are pushing to keep limits on asylum seekers that were put in place during the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. They're appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court in a last-ditch effort before the limits are set to expire. In a one-page order, Justice Roberts granted a stay pending further order and asked the government to respond by 5 p.m. Tuesday. That's just hours before the restrictions are slated to expire on Wednesday. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 162 points. The Nasdaq dropped 159. The S&P 500 lower by 34. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Ho, ho, ho. 'Tis the season to satisfy your firearm needs. Shooter's Choice in West Columbia is fully stocked. Are you ready? Shooter's Choice has a huge selection of in-stock merchandise to fill your holiday wants and needs. Firearms and accessories, scopes, ammo, gun safes, all with tremendous sales going on through the holiday season. They have it all in stock. They're ready and waiting for you to make your choice. Not sure what you need? Let one of the Shooter's Choice experts assist you in making the right decision. Remember, these folks hunt, they shoot, they're qualified to answer your questions. And if you're still stumped, gift cards are available to simplify things. Still not sure what to get someone? Try concealed weapon permit classes for the whole family, or choosing the perfect gun safe for the home always makes a perfect gift. So treat yourself this holiday season with a visit to Shooter's Choice on Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia for your Christmas gift needs, or shop online at shooterschoicesc.com. Make your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
So let's do word association.
Okay, let's do it.
Barbecue.
Railroad barbecue.
Brisket.
Railroad barbecue.
Ribs.
Railroad barbecue. This is too easy.
All right, last one. Holidays.
You better order your favorite railroad barbecue today.
He's right again, because everybody in the Midlands wants the best barbecue and freshest ingredients for their holiday gatherings. Call 803-708-5801 to place your railroad barbecue orders Wednesday through Saturday, and make a special note to pick up your order before 2 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Plus, that railroad barbecue swag, t-shirts, hats, or gift cards make great stocking stuffers. And anytime you get a taste for that Texas-style smoked brisket, brisket or those St. Louis spare ribs, remember we're closed Monday and Tuesday. Here we go, hash and rice.
The best darn hash and rice on both sides of the track.
Railroad Barbecue, 2001 Hampton Street, Columbia.
Every animal deserves a home for the holidays. Instead of getting the kids video games, get them a new member of the family. Dogs and cats make great family additions. The Columbia Animal Shelter reminds you there are wonderful and loving dogs and cats available for immediate adoption. Visit petfinder.com to see these puppies and kitties. Adoptions are just $25 for the entire month of December. The kids will never be happier, and you'll give an animal a family and a home. Online at petfinder.com. Happy holidays from the Columbia Animal Shelter.
All right, so in bowl games so far this bowl season, we've got Marshall beating UConn 28-14. That's gone final at Myrtle Beach. Louisville beat Cincinnati 24-7. Both teams, with new head coaches, one coming from Louisville to go to Cincinnati. Oregon State blasted Florida 30-3. Hello, Billy Napier. By the way, now a lot of talk about Grayson McCall looking hard at Florida for his stop.
I feel like somebody on our show might have thrown that out there a week or two ago. Who was that?
Was that you?
Yeah, sorry, humble brag. But yeah.
No, it's okay. You can brag on yourself if you're right.
I thought that would be great. And I'll also, come down on myself because I was also wrong. I threw two schools out there. I threw Florida and Nebraska. But when I said Nebraska, I meant Wisconsin. I was just thinking I would love to see him running that, what had been previously North Carolina offense. I just think that he would fit into that perfectly. And of course, that offensive coordinator, I mistakenly said Nebraska, but that's where Satterfield went. He, of course, is at Wisconsin.
Right. Hey, look, we all misspeak. I just said we had 24 teams in the playoffs coming up instead of 12. I don't know where I got off on 24, how I got it confused with 12 games versus 12 teams.
Imagine if 24 teams were in the playoff and you were ranked number 25. You're the only one out.
You'd be complaining about that for sure. All right, what else do we have? We've got Fresno State beat Washington State 29-6. The Pac-12, they're just, or 10 or 8, whatever they are, they're awful. Southern Miss beat Rice 38-24. Boise over North Texas 35-32. UAB beat Miami of Ohio 24-20. And Troy beat Texas San Antonio 18-12. So that's what we've had so far in the bowl season. Things will start picking up in the days to come. And NFL tonight, Packers are in action in Green Bay against the Rams. Speaking as a owner of the team and a Packer fan, still got a chance. Just got to win them all. Got to get to 9 wins. I think if you can get to 9 wins, you'll have a chance to make the playoffs. Of course, you're going to need some help. Could have used the Lions losing yesterday to the Jets. When you have to depend on the Jets to help you out, you're in a bad place. You're in a bad place. But Packers are going to have to win out to get to 9 and give themselves a chance. Got to start tonight. I was in Chicago over the weekend. When I left this morning, it was 13 degrees, and they have got a major winter storm coming in the next 2 days. And if it was 13 in Chicago this morning, you know what it is in Green Bay, right? It's got to be single digits. In fact, I'm going to look that up. I'm hoping it's freezing, tundra-like cold there in Green Bay for the Rams, those softies from L.A., and to get them out there in the cold. And anything that will help the Packers, I'll be in favor of tonight. All right, let's get back to our phone calls. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Let me double check and see if there was anything else uttered by Beamer. I think he said he must have acknowledged that Dylan Wanham is not playing because we got a message. Let's see. We got a message from one of our listeners online, and he shared a comment with us. Yeah, Eddie. He said, Truly sad that we are without starting running back, no Van, and Beamer just said tight ends, right tackle, defensive safeties, nose guard, etc. So sad to win last 2 games and then be a shell of yourself. So apparently Beamer's acknowledging that Dylan Wanham is not going to be in the bowl game either. Let's go to Andy in Columbia. Got the old reliables, the old standbys checking in with us on this Monday night. Andy, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, Corn, Pat, Chris. Well, now, number one, Corn,
Hmm.
if your terrible Packers didn't lose to my terrible Jets, you wouldn't have to worry about anything. But
It's 14 degrees in Green Bay right now.
I don't care what it is in Green Bay. It don't
14
matter
degrees.
what it
Hang
is.
on. I want to see how cold it's going to get. Why is it giving me a graph? Give me a temperature. It's going to be like under 10 degrees as this game
Well,
plays on
Rogers
tonight.
on the ayahuasca, it doesn't matter what the temperature is.
With him doing what?
Ayahuasca. The stuff he went to Peru to do.
Oh,
Hallucinogenic.
is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what he went to Peru for.
He didn't go to Peru just like for a vacation and a suntan?
He went to find himself in his own mental frame, and you saw what it brought him back. Supposedly it made him a better teammate, a better lover. Well, we know the better teammate sure doesn't work out.
I
We
don't
know
care
the
about
better
the lover part. I do want.
We know the better lover.
I do
didn't
care
work
about
out.
the better teammate.
Broke up with his girlfriend or whoever he went down there with. So, you know.
Well, tonight
But-
in Green Bay, just in case you're wondering, and it's fun watching games in Green Bay when it's cold. So at 8 o'clock kickoff, it's going to be 17 degrees. And then at 9 o'clock, going to have a feel-like temperature of 12, and then 14, and then by 11 o'clock, back to 12. So a little
Well,
heat
next-
wave is moving through there for an hour.
Well, Corn, Saturday here is going to be a wind chill temperature of 0 to 10 degrees. So, you know,
Where
I'm
at?
not bragging about here in Columbia.
South Carolina?
Yes, sir.
Bring it.
That's what they're
I'm
saying.
ready for
With
it, man.
wind chill,
I'm ready
0
for it.
to 10.
I'm after being in Chicago over the weekend. I'm ready for it. I can handle the cold. I'm cold-natured. I'm cold-blooded. I'm ready for it.
You know what? I finally realized that I'm really old, Corn. So when I see Frank Gore's son, Frank Gore Jr., rushing for 300 and something yards this weekend, I'm like, oh my God, he's got a son that old that can be out there playing? I mean, holy moly.
He threw a
Okay,
touchdown, too.
Yeah, the real reason I called is this. Regarding the bowl games, I think what's going to need to happen is this. Forget these little bowl gift bags you get with the gifts in it. It needs to start becoming bags with cash in it. And they're going to have to do a tier type of system so that they know how much money they can give to what player. That the upper level players are going to have to receive more money from these bowls than some Joe Schmo who's the guy who sits there and sits next to the Gatorade bucket all day
All right,
long.
who's going to set the market for that?
I believe I would take the bowl the bowl organizations and let them set the tiers on the players.
Yeah, but I mean, the player will set the market. For example, let's just use Spencer Rattler, for example. Okay.
Right, well, if he
So
doesn't
the
wanna
Gator
take
Bowl,
that money, he
if the Gator
makes
Bowl
another
says,
offer.
okay, we'll give you $5,000 to play in this game, and he says, well, that's not enough. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the NFL. All right, hang on a second. We'll give you 10,000. That's not enough. All right, we'll give you 25,000. Okay, I'll play the game for 25,000. All right, now your market is set. So what's what you're going to pay Klubnik at Clemson to play in the Orange Bowl, an even bigger bowl game? You know, I mean, the point is, how do you know, unless there's some kind of contractual obligation that ties the player and forces them to play in the game, you can't make them play in the game.
Well, that's why I'm saying you got to give them a bag of cash. You got to do the Tennessee.
Yeah, but I mean,
let 'em
again,
run
it goes
through
back to how
McDonald's.
much you're going to pay. You're going to
Give
pay
'em a
$100,000
bag.
to the quarterback,
If the
$50,000 to the wide receiver, $75,000 to the running back.
Corn, if the sponsors of the bowl games want to get people to view them, they're going to have to up cash instead of these dumb presents they give, Beats headsets, this, that, you know, the little, you know, they get some money. They get sometimes charge cards they can go out to go spend wherever, Target, whatever. They're going to have to stop doing that. They're going to have to start giving cash money, plain and simple. That's what talks. You know, that's what's going to do it. Another thing, I saw that the Football Hall of Fame list came out, finalist.
Yeah, the South Carolina Football Hall of
Yeah.
Fame list of finalists did come out. I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to go over that when I have a second.
Am I a little off here, but why is Lou Holtz in the mix?
Because it's a nomination, and he had enough people nominate him and then vote. Remember, there's a early round of voting where you have a long list, and people vote. It's open for anybody who's a member of the Hall of Fame or a fan. You just go sign up, give them your email, sign up. You can vote. They encourage fans to vote, and so from that process, they whittle it down to this list that you mentioned, and from this list, you vote on the winner.
So the fans vote through the whole list. Is that correct? Is what you're saying?
That's correct.
So the fans
Yeah.
now will vote on from the finalists.
That's correct. In fact, I voted today on the plane before the plane took off.
Okay. Now, in my opinion, I'd rather see Joe Mo than Lou Holtz in there. I mean, that's just my opinion. But the one that I'd really like to see, I can't believe Brad Edwards isn't in the Hall of Fame, Shotgun Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, he's on the list now. He's on the finalist list now.
Right, I know.
He's one that you can vote for.
He hasn't already been on it.
Yeah.
Already been, in there. And I'd like to see Corey get in there this year. It'd be good for him to hit both in the same year, the state and the actual university.
Well, since you mentioned it, I will go over the list now. And thank you for calling, and have a happy Hanukkah and a very nice holiday season.
Yeah, happy Hanukkah to you and your family too, Corn, and everybody else have a very, I'm sure I'll call back again before the end of the week, but
Yeah.
a very wonderful holiday experience.
I think we'll have room for you, so feel free to call in. Appreciate that. So we have the finalists here, as Andy brought up, to give me a second, and they have two groups. They have the big group of the more recent players, and then they have the group of the older guys who've not gotten in, who you can vote in a separate category. So let me see if I can find this list here. Let's see. You can also vote for the player of the year. What they call the South Carolina Heisman. So hang on with me here for a second, if I can put my eyes on this thing. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. All right, I'll read it off this. I was trying to find the actual release that had the list, but I'll read it off this the website. So you've got Terry Allen. These are the finalists. You have Terry Allen from Clemson. You have former Wofford coach Mike Ayers. You have former Clemson lineman Joe Bostic, former Gamecock defensive back Sheldon Brown. You have Troy Brown from Barnwell, Dexter Coakley from Mount Pleasant, Ben Coates from Greenwood. These are guys that played college football outside the state. Woody Dantzler from Clemson, Sam Davis from Allen, Brad Edwards from South Carolina, Ricky Foggy from Lawrence, John Gilliam from State, Albert Hainsworth from Hartsville, Lou Holtz from USC, Stanford Jennings from Furman. You have Terry Kennard from Clemson, Joe Morrison from USC, Marion Motley. See, that should be a no-brainer. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So you would think he'd be in the State of South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, right? Marion Motley from State, Corey Miller from USC, Sidney Rice from USC, Tony Rice from Woodruff, Brian Ruff from the Citadel, Clyde Simmons Jr. from Lane, South Carolina, Tiger C.J. Spiller, and Tiger Jim Stuckey. So those are your finalists, class of 2022 finalists. The voting will end January 10th. You can vote at scfootballhof.org, scfootballhof.org. Get your vote in by January the 10th. Okay, we're going to hit the break here on Sports Talk. Coming up in our next hour, Jerry Brown, coach of the Sandlappers, successful Shrine Bowl Sandlapper team this year. And we're also going to be joined by one of the new commitments for the Gamecocks. I think one of the best stories in recruiting this year, and that is the Gamecocks getting Mario Anderson Jr., transfer from Newberry, stepping up to the SEC. He'll join us.
Score a touchdown with Founders Federal Credit Union. With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Relax with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
If an insurance company is there to sell you insurance, shouldn't it also be there to service it with real people? At Farm Bureau Insurance, we're here to help with experienced agents ready to provide personal service when you need it most. Call today for your free no-obligation review for auto, home, and life insurance that's custom tailored just for you.
Whether it's home, auto, or life insurance, Buddy Bridges and Farm Bureau Insurance have the right policy for you. Call Buddy today in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174.
South Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Southern Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company, Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi.
Thank you. Thank you for world-traveling rocket scientists, for tires bigger than your grandma's house, for 3D printing research, for artists in residency. Thank you for all the things that take us to the next level. Thank you for playing the lottery, for funding scholarships, for funding grants, for funding innovation in this state. Thank you. The South Carolina Education Lottery. When you play, we all win.
We are back on Sports Talk Media Network, here on a Monday night. Great to have you with us. We kick off a full week of Sports Talk. No off nights because Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, that's on the weekend. So we got Sports Talk. Sorry about that, Pat. We got Sports Talk every night this week. And you know what? Same thing next week. The good thing is, Pat, you can get out and party on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. You won't have Sports Talk to worry about. We'll be on the road next week with the bowl games. I'll be in Fort Lauderdale, and Smitty will be in Jacksonville, and Chris will be in Birmingham. Who got the short straw there, would you say? I'd say Bergie going to Birmingham.
Sounds like me not being in Miami. Still working on my freckles.
Well, you got to go to what was your best trip? You're going to go to Notre Dame until a little illness got in the way.
COVID, yeah. Boston College.
Boston was good. You got to go to Boston. That was a good trip.
So much good clam chowder.
Oh, yeah. All right. If you want to join us, 888-898-2525. I know this time of the year, a little slow on the phones, understand that. But if you'd like to jump in, comment or question, observation about anything, we are wide open. So feel free to give us a call. Now, a little bit after 7 o'clock, we're going to talk to Mario Anderson Jr., who committed to South Carolina publicly yesterday. I think this is a great story. Young man from Stratford High School. He goes to Newberry. He lights it up at Newberry, and now he's going to South Carolina as a transfer. And, whether you like the transfer deal or not, again, I've never been against transfers. There's always been transfers. That's nothing new. But you had to sit out a year before you could transfer, and that sort of kept things in line a little bit. With this current system, it's a lot out of whack because players are just leaving, and there's going to be more players in the transfer portal than there will be spots available for them. So you run the risk there. But in this case, he's getting a chance to move up from Division II to the SEC. I think that's a terrific story. And, a guy that wasn't heavily recruited coming out of high school. So we'll talk with him coming up a little bit after 7 o'clock. And then Dr. Jerry Brown, coach of the Sandlapper football team that won the Shrine Bowl on Saturday, he'll join us 7:30 to talk about that win and what he thought about his team's performance and what it means to him to get that victory. What else we got for you here? Furman's Ryan Miller named an FCS All-American. And justifiably so. What a great season he had for them. And he is moving on to the NFL. So he was named a Division I football championship division All-American by the Athletics Directors Association, and that was announced today. And, of course, he had a great year, as I mentioned, catching the football. I think he had like 70-something catches. Here we go, 72 catches, 762 yards, school season record, 12 touchdowns. And he'll get a chance with some NFL team, no question about it. Former Clemson cornerback Fred Davis announced a commitment to UCF today. So he's headed there. And I imagine the lawsuit against him stemming from that traffic accident a couple of years ago is going to follow him back to Florida. He's from Florida. Imagine that will still be hanging over him as he goes to UCF. So we'll see what happens there. I think that's a case where, the recruiting websites made him out to be such a great prospect and supposedly a great player, and it never panned out at Clemson for whatever reason. I don't think he ever reached the potential that was expected for him. Stuff, off the field, of course, holding him back here at the very end, but just don't think he was that shutdown corner that he was projected to be. That's why, you take ratings with a grain of salt with a lot of these guys, because they don't pan out. A lot of them do, but a lot of them don't. This was one I don't think that panned out to the satisfaction of Dabo Swinney and the Clemson coaching staff. After the break, we will have our recruiting report for you as well, and catch you up on what happened over the weekend. And let's see what else we've got for you. Former Clemson linebacker Levanta Bentley is transferring to Colorado. So Deion Sanders picking up, I think, a pretty good player in Bentley. He had flashes when he was with Clemson. I was a little surprised that he decided to up and depart the premises. Speaking of transferring, our poll question of the week is, give me just a second here, because I just tweeted at something and it changed my page. Poll question of the week is, 'tis the season. You like that? Tied it into the holidays.
Love it.
'Tis the season to transfer in college football. In your opinion, what's the primary reason a player will transfer?
That fourth place participant right now is just staring at me. Academics with less than 1% of the vote. 0.7% of the vote.
272 votes are in. What do you think is the primary reason today that a player will transfer? 58.8% say NIL opportunities.
Seems accurate. Yeah. That and playing time.
37.8% say playing time. And 2.6% say a coaching change.
That seems low, but who knows? They're right, though. Playing time and NIL seem to be the overwhelming favorite right now, and reason.
But 0.7% academics, which is, the fact that the college athletics have just lost their course for what they were set out to be, right? They were supposed to, set up to be and had been and should be connected to the academic side of what you're trying to accomplish. But that seems to be forgotten now as things have moved on. Let's see what else we've got for you here before we hit the top of the hour break.
I got one note for you while you're looking there, Phil. And you mentioned you were going to get to recruiting next hour. You may have already seen this, but one more thing I'll make sure to keep an eye out on my side. Former Gamecock commit and recent decommit offensive lineman Oluwatosin Babalade tweeted out today that he had some news for people tomorrow, saying he had an announcement he was going to make on Instagram. But then this afternoon, he tweeted again saying that he, if people would help get him to 4,000 followers, that he would drop the news tonight at 7. So that seems to be a hint that he may be announcing his new commitment tonight at 7 o'clock. So coming up here in just a few minutes, we'll make sure during the break to keep an eye on that and see. Seems like it's come down to a two-person race between the Gamecocks or the Terrapins of Maryland.
Yeah, is he going to be renewing his vows with the Gamecocks or changing his vows to Maryland? We'll keep a watch on that. Coastal Carolina defensive end Josiah Stewart transferring to Michigan. Coastal Carolina offensive lineman Willie Lampkin transferring to North Carolina. And Pete Themmel is putting Coastal's new coaching staff together, one tweet at a time. Tim Beck expected to retain Josh Miller, outside linebacker and special teams coach. And also, he said Coastal's expected to retain Derek Warham as offensive line coach, Chris Proctor in an undetermined role, and Perry Parks, the former coach at Ridgeview, who had been at Charlotte, a Coastal grad, says here is going to go back there to coach the wide receivers. Okay, we'll be back. Top of the hour break.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The White House is withholding comment on the January 6th committee's recommendation that former President Trump face criminal charges for his role in the 2021 Capitol riot. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
President Biden has described the work of the January 6th committee as important, but on the criminal referrals to the Justice Department, the White House did not comment.
This administration and the DOJ conduct criminal investigation independently, free of any sort of any kind of political interference or any interference at all.
Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the White House will refrain from politicizing the House committee's work. Greg Clugston, the White House.
The Supreme Court is temporarily blocking an order that would lift pandemic-era restrictions on asylum seekers, but it's leaving open the possibility of lifting those restrictions by Wednesday. The order Monday by Chief Justice John Roberts comes as conservative states are pushing to keep limits on asylum seekers that were put in place during the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. The mayor of El Paso has declared a state of emergency because of the influx of people. National Weather Service meteorologist Zach Taylor says towards the mid-end of this week, there's a potential for heavy rain in the east, heavy snow for the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes region, and plenty of Arctic air.
We're watching a pretty strong storm system that might track through the central to eastern U.S. leading up to the Christmas holiday. The storm system is probably going to be forming on the edge of an Arctic boundary that's going to be dropping through much of the country.
The rare Arctic air mass comes as an earlier storm system gradually winds down in the northeastern U.S. after burying parts of the region under 2 feet of snow. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 162 points, the Nasdaq dropped 159, the S&P 500 lower by 34. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Hey folks, listen, you have to check out Up Faith and Family this Christmas season. All month long, Up Faith and Family is celebrating Christmas with lighthearted movies, shows, and musical specials that keep the reason for this season at heart. And it's all ad-free. With Up Faith and Family, you can stream uplifting family-friendly shows anytime, anywhere on your favorite device for only $5.99 a month. Visit upfaithandfamily.com/Salem and start your 14-day free trial today.
2022 marked the final goodbyes for some influential people throughout the world. We remember them in this report. Correspondent Ed Donahue has the story.
Queen Elizabeth reigned in Britain for 70 years.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service.
Madeleine Albright was the first woman in a high-ranking cabinet position.
Mr. President, I am deeply honored by your decision to nominate me for Secretary of State.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
Sidney Poitier was the first black actor to win the Best Actor Oscar.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
Loretta Lynn says her country music career was about being herself.
I had to live my songs to write them.
I'm Ed Donahue.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and chilly overnight, although not as cold as last night. We'll dip to 35 this evening. Tomorrow, we're cloudy all day long, scattered showers and a high of just 44. Chilly all week and wet until Friday afternoon when the sun pops, high in the upper 40s and low 50s, with nighttime lows in the upper 30s and low 40s. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Talk on this Monday night across the state of South Carolina. Phil Kornblut and Pat Daniel with you now. We are at our Dave & Buster's studios here in downtown Columbia. Chris Bergen off calling Coastal Carolina basketball tonight. Don't forget about Dave & Buster's. We'll be there Wednesday night in Columbia, the Dave & Buster's in Columbia, which will be National Signing Day night for this year. And just like you, we go to Dave & Buster's to eat, drink, play, and catch all the big games all season long. Dave & Buster's in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach. Of course, with everything else going on this week, it is National Signing Week. Wednesday will be the first day of the early signing period. Of course, there's another signing period in February, and there'll be some people waiting until then to make decisions and sign on the dotted line, but most everybody is getting it done now. And one of those joins us live here on Sports Talk. I think this is a great story. That's why I reached out to him about joining us on the program tonight, because he's got a great story to tell. Mario Anderson Jr., who was a Division II All-American at Newberry after a standout career at Stratford High School. Now he's going to get the chance to step up to the SEC level as he committed to South Carolina publicly yesterday. Mario joins us here on Sports Talk. And welcome in, Mario. It's great to have you with us. How are you?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing today?
We are doing great. Thank you for joining us tonight. Happy holidays to you. I imagine your holidays got a lot happier yesterday when you went public with your commitment to South Carolina.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for giving me an opportunity to speak and give me an opportunity to be on the show and everything. But yes, sir, everything has been going crazy lately. But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
How did it feel for you when you met with the Gamecocks? You went in for a visit on Friday. You got the offer. You talked to Shane Beamer and Montario Hardesty, and at some point in there, or maybe shortly after, you made the decision. You knew you were going to go to South Carolina to the SEC. What were your emotions like at that time?
My emotions, it was, like I said, it was a blessing because I'm blessed to be able to have this opportunity that a small percentage of people in the world is able to have. But I was very excited, after seeing everything and talking to everyone, I was ready to go. I was really fired up to get to know everybody and really start something new.
When you were having the great year at Newberry and running up 1,500 yards, and you guys were having another great season, you should have been in the D2 playoffs, no question about that. That was unfortunate that didn't happen. And I know you were focused on the task at hand, but I mean, did you start to think to yourself, I can do this. I can step up to an SEC, ACC level and be just as successful?
I mean, once you have the confidence to want to bet on yourself, who wouldn't want to be able to do that? But at the time when I was playing, I was focused on Newberry College and everything that I had going on at Newberry every week with my brothers out there. But after the season, after talking with my family and everything, that's when I decided to make that jump and bet on myself, really.
So give us some of the background on how it got to be South Carolina for you.
Really talking about when I went on the visit.
Well, leading up to that, how the contact was made and how things developed from that point to where you ended up there. I guess you put your name in the transfer portal and then things went on from there.
Yes, sir. So once I put my name in the transfer portal, it was a few days. I put my name in the portal like a Monday. I want to say like a Wednesday or so. I heard from Coach Mo. He texted me, asked me was I in the portal and everything, and I told him yes, sir. And I got his number, and we got on the phone. It was an immediate connection. I felt like he reviewed my film, said how much he liked my game, what I brought to the table, but he also critiqued me and said that what he could do to adjust my game and how he could tweak a few things to help me be a more successful back, not only in the SEC, but as a running back as a whole, because he's been in the position that I'm going to be in. He's done it at a very high level. Coach Mo is very smart. He's very informative, and with that, he just let me know. And at that moment in time, I knew that Coach Mo was very genuine and what he was saying, very pure. And I just want to get to work with him.
What did he say he liked most about your game, and what did he say that he can do to improve your game and help you be successful in the SEC at South Carolina?
He said he liked my run style, most importantly. I kind of told him I think I have an unorthodox running style in today's running back game because I bring more so of a old school style to my play. I can hit you with power, I can hit you with speed, and that's the stuff that he liked. But he also said I have a good bit of swag in my play, and that's what he liked about me. What he said he can tweak on, he said he can help me with my pass blocking, help me fix that a little bit more, and just being able to hit different cuts and stuff, and really just stuff like that to overall make me an all-around back instead of just a running back.
Would you say you are a better runner between the tackles, or are you a better runner getting outside in space?
I can do it all, and I love to do it all.
Just give you the football and give you some blocking.
Yes, sir.
What about the other parts of being a running back? You talked about pass blocking. How much do you have to improve there? What about catching the ball out of the backfield?
I have hands. I can catch, but I wasn't utilized to be able to catch like that out the backfield. So I don't say it'll be a challenge as to me catching the ball, but just getting adjusted to not only carrying the ball, well, I will have to get adjusted to being more so in open space to help in the pass game. And just me blocking, I think just because the competition is going to be a bit bigger and faster, I'm just going to have to adjust to that with my blocking, how my feet work set up, how I punch and everything. And I know Coach Mo is going to get me right with that.
Do you believe football is football? And I mean, you played at one of the smallest schools in the country that plays scholarship football at Newberry. And now you're stepping up into the biggest arena in college football in the SEC. Does that intimidate you at all, or is football just football?
No, sir, it do not intimidate me at all because, like I told everyone, I come to work. But just because someone plays D2, D3, NAIA, there's a lot of dogs in those conferences. I played against a lot of considered D1 competition at the D2 level. It may have not been with the 90,000 people in the stands in the stadium or just the all around everyone being 2 times bigger, but I believe if you put in the work and you show people wrong, then that's just what's going to happen.
Talking with Mario Anderson Jr., do you go by the full Mario Anderson Jr., or do we drop the Junior?
You can go by Junior. You can say Junior.
Just Junior? Mario
Yes,
Jr., huh? Yeah.
You can say Mario Anderson Jr.
Now, coming out of high school at Stratford, you were a really good running back, I remember, but your recruiting was not big time. You ended up going to Newberry. I know South Carolina reached out to you some back then. What were some of the things going on with you from a recruiting standpoint back then? What were people missing on that they later discovered?
Really, I don't know. I think my size was a big thing. I'm not the biggest back at the time. I was about 5'7", 175, 180, around that. But I was more so of a speed guy. I ran track, so I was a slimmer back, but I wasn't the prototypical big bruising back that everyone sees now. So I think that's one of the things that people might have looked past.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, all well that ends well. And what does it mean for you and for your family to now be at this point, and considering the road you had to travel to get to this point from where you started coming out of Stratford High School, to have, you now in a position to be playing at South Carolina in the SEC to kind of represent where you came from?
It's a humbling experience for sure, because of my testimony, my story, what I've been through to get to this point right now. A lot of people, if they was in my position, in my shoes, a lot of people would have folded, and I've seen a lot of people fold. But being able to meet my trouble squarely face to face, it helped me a lot. My family, they're excited because Newberry was considered down the road as well, but I'm a little bit closer to home. And my family is very pumped and excited to be at Willie B, supporting not only me but my future teammates. And we ready to get this thing rocking.
Yeah. What do you think of the running back room you'll be stepping into, considering that Marshawn Lloyd is gone, Christian Beal Smith will be gone? There's only one other running back right now. If my memory's right, one other running back in the class with you right now. You see some instant opportunity for you there if you take care of your business, that you can be an immediate factor?
Man, first and foremost, all of those guys, I stepped into the running back room, and every single one of those guys has something special about them. They wouldn't be in the SEC if they didn't. But they're very. You got one that's quick, you got one that's power, you got one that's all around. Like, everyone has their niche, and it's a competitive nature, So I believe that not only are they going to push me, but I'm gonna push them, and it's just going to be a competitive nature of love. But at the end of the day, we are teammates, so any and all opportunity will be seized, and that's just how it is.
Are you a contributor in the return game as well? Were you at Newberry in the kickoff game or the punt return game?
No, sir, I was not, but I'm open to any and all opportunities. So if that is me being in the return game, then I will do that.
All right. Last thing, what's your thoughts on Shane Beamer giving you this opportunity when, of course, they could look at guys coming from bigger schools as transfers or continue to recruit guys out of high school? But what do you think he saw in you? What did you see in him? How did you guys connect in terms of your relationship when you got together?
When we first seen each other in person, the very first thing, it's funny because the very first thing, I didn't think he really knew my face like that. But when he seen me, he was eating something, and he instantly went to go wipe his hand off and shake my hand, look me in my eye as a man. And, that speaks a lot of volume. That speaks character on his part. I believe Coach Beamer is very genuine. But I also know that he means business as well. And that's the biggest thing. I appreciate that. I like that. He means business. But at the same time, he's very pure in what he says and everything. And I feel as though me and him have a very good connection off jump.
So what is with the transfer deal, do you have to sign some paperwork, or do you just show up in January? What do they lay out there for you as a transfer?
I believe I just said I committed. I signed a few things, especially dealing with academic side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then once all of that is cleared and I've done what I need to do on my end, and they done what they did on their end, then I move in, because I'm moving in January to get ready for spring.
Yeah. How many years of eligibility?
I have 2 years.
2 years to play 2.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Mario, thank you so much for joining us. I was always intrigued about your situation once you popped up in the portal and things started percolating between you and South Carolina. I thought to myself, Newberry to South Carolina, that's a pretty big step, but you're going to make it. and you're going to take advantage of this opportunity, I have a feeling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations. Have a great holiday, and look forward to seeing you in Columbia.
Yes, sir. Thank you for giving me the opportunity again. And y'all have a good one, and have a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
You too, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, there you go. Mario Anderson Jr. going to be toting the rock for South Carolina this coming season, and I wouldn't sell him short. I know a lot of people probably say, hey, he's coming from Newberry and small school and all that kind of stuff. But those guys have sometimes they have a little extra something on the shoulder, a little extra chip on the shoulder that they play with, a little extra giddy up. And I remember talking with Coach Knight whenever we go over there and visit with Newberry, and he raved about him. Of course, he was such a good player for them the last 2 years carrying the football. Big reason why they were so successful, why they were a back-to-back South Atlantic Conference champion and should have been in the playoffs this year. Of course, made the playoffs last year, won a playoff game last year. So congratulations to him, and look forward to seeing him take that next step with the Gamecocks. Okay, we got to hit a break here on Sports Talk, and we will continue in just a moment. Dive into that recruiting report. Jerry Brown coming up at the bottom of the hour. The Shrine Bowl coach celebrating a win for the Sandlappers. Always good for the Sandlappers to get a W. We'll talk with him about that and have a bunch more for you on this Monday edition of Sports Talk. We're coming back in just a moment.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff Program.
When your day calls for some winning, why not watch your favorite football team at Dave & Buster's? We've got massive HD TVs and hundreds of the hottest new games. Sip from our chef-crafted cocktail menu with exclusive drinks such as the Strawberry Watermelon Margarita or Dangerous Waters. Cheer on the team with Cantina Nachos or wings featuring one of our 12 wing flavors. When your day calls for some winning, it's time for Dave & Buster's, where you can watch the games and play the games. Locations in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
All right, thanks to Super Mario for joining us. Think that'll be his nickname at South Carolina? I have a feeling that'll end up on a T-shirt or something, don't you?
I'd imagine so. And inside Williams-Brice, we may hear the Mario theme song here and there.
Which is what?
You really want me to hum it on there?
I mean, I don't even know what it is.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to embarrass myself.
No, you're doing fine. I mean, you're talking about something I don't recognize.
Sounds like some good NIL opportunities. I don't know how involved Nintendo would be with American football, but hey, you never know. If there's a way to spin it, I hope he has that song.
Is there any other kind of football besides American football? You said American football. Is there anything other than American football? Football's American, right?
The World Cup is over, so I no longer need to pretend that there is. So no, it's just American football.
The World Cup. Did that end yesterday?
God, that final was fantastic, though. I know you're not a soccer
guy.
I
did watch the last 5 minutes. I did catch the last 5 minutes.
That was one of the most exciting games of any sport I've watched. And I will admit, I am not a big soccer guy, never have been. I thought it was incredibly boring to try to play as a kid. But that had me on the edge of my seat. I was watching it with friends, and we were all on the edge of our seat the entire especially whole second half and then extra time and then into penalty kicks. That was just fantastic.
Well, why does soccer keep it a secret? Like how much extra time you're going to have, like when they're coming up on the end of the game. They don't tell you how much extra time, right? All of a sudden, I think a number pops up on the screen. I don't know. But here's the thought I did have. So they played regulation and extra time, and then they played 2 overtime periods, right? Nobody scored. And then they go to this shootout, right, where it's a different guy against the goalie. And that's how they won Argentina, which is kind of a cheap way to win it when you know, don't you think you should just play it out? But anyway, I was thinking, shouldn't the NFL, instead of having games end in a tie after they have overtime, have a field goal contest then and have a field goal kicker, you know, line up. You say each field goal kicker gets a shot from, say, the 40, and you can have a rush like a normal field goal. And win a game that way. If you're gonna, if the World Cup can be decided by an individual one-on-one between a player and the goalie, you call them goalies or goalkeepers?
Either one, I say goalie, just like hockey. But no, I'm with you. And
then in the NFL and college, whatever, you know, of course, college has a different system, but the NFL, they do have their overtime, which. Sometimes most of the times it ends up with a winner, but if not, just have a kicking contest. Let the field goal guys settle it.
I'd love that, and maybe you back it up each time.
Yeah,
you
back it up.
And a 40 and a 45.
Yeah,
that would be nice. I mean, college is kind of doing a variant of that. I know you're specifically saying NFL, but now doing starting in the third overtime. It's just you're not even lining up to try to score. It's just back-to-back 2-point conversions. It's just nothing but 2-point conversions over and over and over. That's what college football does now, starting in the third overtime.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I believe this was the first season they did.
Or is it? Wait a minute.
The first 2 overtimes are just regular field goal or
touchdown.
No. But starting in the third overtime, there is no lining up for 4 downs from the 25. It's just you line up at the 2.5 and you do a 2-point
and just
conversion.
do the 2-point conversion.
Then the other team comes out and goes for a 2-point conversion, and then you just keep going and going.
Okay. I haven't seen a game go that far this year. Have they had one go that far this year?
They did. And I want to say Miami was one of the teams, but it was weird because it went to like 6 overtimes, but the final score was 19-16 or something ridiculous.
Because they couldn't score?
Neither team could score.
Yeah. We got recruiting coming up after Dr. Jerry Brown. Let's go to Bruce out in Missouri, where I bet you it's really, really cold. Bruce, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Not cold yet. Thursday, we're going to be a high of 7 degrees, and tonight it's going to be -5. Friday, we'll get to 2 degrees high, and I think it's going to be -5 degrees Friday night. Then Saturday, it's going to warm up to 7 degrees. And then we're supposed to be, you know, after Saturday, I don't know what's going to happen.
Bruce, I blame Phil. He was in Chicago, and he brought back that cold with him.
Well, they say Chicago, that's going to get the same thing that's hitting you, of course, is going to make its way to Chicago. I was listening to the forecast there, and they were saying get out of town by Thursday because it's going to be nasty up there Thursday.
Yeah. Anyway, it's coming.
Yeah.
And they've had weather like that here, but not often. You know, that's what I've been told.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and listening to what was going on with all the bowls and the, guys opting out of the team, and it's just getting to be really helter-skelter with teammanship. There's no teammanship. It's all me. And it brought back the thought of what they did at North Carolina with the players just went up to the Secretary of State's, the Secretary of the curriculum, the African-American curriculum, and just sign a piece of paper. They didn't have any thesis they had to write or go to class or anything. It was all about the money and the player. The university was making money off the player being on the field. And it's all a money thing. And do you know if Paige Becker is the highest paid college player still? So she's making $1 million.
Yeah, she's making a bunch. Isn't she making and she's out this year, isn't she? Didn't she get hurt?
She's sitting on the bench.
Yeah, she got hurt. She got hurt. ACL. Yeah.
Yeah. But she was getting paid $1 million by Gatorade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all about the money. It's just getting really scandalous, and it's just a bad situation.
Well,
I
look,
think, for the youth.
again, at some point, people like you and me, we got to get over it. No, I mean, we got to get over it. People like you and
No, we
me.
don't.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I got to get over it. You got to get over it. It's been changed. The courts, started the ball rolling on this thing. Well, I mean, the NCAA created its own problem,
Right.
NCAA created its own problem by being so heavy-handed for 50, 60 years and being stupid and being greedy. And they went way, way, way too far. And, the court stepped in now, and they created this Pandora's box to those of us on the outside, to those on the inside. It's a great thing. And people like us, we got to get over it and quit crying about it. One day we will. Be right back.
Is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and chilly overnight, although not as cold as last night. We'll dip to 35 this evening. Tomorrow, we're cloudy all day long, scattered showers and a high of just 44. Chilly all week and wet until Friday afternoon when the sun pops. High in the upper 40s and low 50s, with nighttime lows in the upper 30s and low 40s. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Hi, this is Jennifer Coolidge. The American Heart Association says the disco song Stayin' Alive is the near-perfect beat for hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest, you only need 2 steps to help save a life. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of the song Stayin' Alive. Disco is back and it's saving lives. To learn more, go to heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Nationally supported by the WellPoint Foundation.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the Supreme Court is temporarily blocking an order that would lift pandemic-era restrictions on asylum seekers, but it's leaving open the prospect of lifting the restrictions by Wednesday. The immigration restrictions, often referred to as Title 42, were put in place under then-President Donald Trump in March 2020 and have prevented hundreds of thousands of migrants from seeking asylum in the U.S. in recent years. But as they're set to expire, thousands more migrants are packed in shelters on Mexico's border with the U.S. The mayor of El Paso, Texas, has declared a state of emergency because of the situation. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 162 points, the Nasdaq dropping 159, the S&P 500 lower by 34, oil up 90 cents to close at $75.19 a barrel. More details at srnnews.com.
I get frustrated when I see people I care about getting scammed or at least misled. Some of these national spots, some of these celebrity endorsements about Medicare, they can be really misleading. I've worked with Tim Hanberry and the team at Medicare Blueprint for some time now. They've helped me so much, and in more ways than one. First, they've eased a lot of stress when it comes to helping my family find the right insurance for ourselves and in the recent past with my mom and for many friends. Plus, they've saved us so much money by educating me on what we can do to get the best health insurance at the best price. Bet you think I've had to pay Medicare Blueprint and Tim a ton of money for all the help they've given? Nope, not a penny. Their service for you is just as free as it's been to me. If you are a parent that's approaching 65 years of age, or if you're coming off an employer plan, let Medicare Blueprint go to work for you. I'm not the only one offering my endorsement for their incredible help. Visit their website, MedicareBlueprint.com. Read testimonials from people all over the Midlands. If Tim can help you find a better plan, let him. If he can't, he'll be the first to tell you. Online, MedicareBlueprint.com, or call him, 708-7398, 708-7398.
Attention listeners, con artists have many tricks for stealing your money, but the AARP Fraud Watch Network is here to help you protect yourself and your family. We give you the tools you need to spot and avoid scams. So listen for the AARP Fraud Watch Network alerts. Use our scam tracking map to see the latest scams and sign up for prevention tips and alerts from law enforcement. To learn how to outsmart con artists before they strike, visit aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Hi, honey. How was your first day back at work?
Well, that slip and fall sure did cause me some pain and discomfort. And this swollen ankle is no fun. Thanks to True Pharmacy, the day wasn't a complete waste.
I'm so glad they were able to get you all set up with your ACE bandage wrap and even a set of crutches.
Yes, who knew you could rent your crutches from True Pharmacy?
And they even have wheelchairs to rent and sell. That's good information to know in case we ever need it for our parents as they get older.
I'm so glad we found True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations, West Columbia and Divine Street.
Hey, it's the Cigar Militia. We want to thank the Midlands for a wonderful first year. Thank you for helping us grow. We had no idea we had so many good friends out there. One thing I love about the cigar culture is we all have our favorite brands, but we're also willing to try new ones too. Come in and get your old standby, or have one of our knowledgeable staff members walk you through the humidor to your new favorite. We're at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard in the same plaza as the Melting Pot Restaurant.
Hi, this is Chris Neely from the South Carolina Public Charter School District. Join me Monday afternoons at 5:30 as I team up with Kev for Kids First. We'll tackle the issues facing our schools, pointing out the positives with our students and teachers. Kids First, Mondays at 5:30 on The Point.
Well, it appears nothing else is going on, so allow me to speak freely for a moment. And then you're going to cut me. Oh, you're going to cut me off, are you?
Kind of a theme song for the state of South Carolina, and why not? We got something to shout about tonight, thanks to the Sandlappers, led by Coach Jerry Brown, the South Carolina Shrine Bowl team, up in Spartanburg on Saturday with the win over North Carolina, taking care of business 17-13. We welcome in head coach of the Sandlappers, head coach at Berkeley High School, Coach Jerry Brown, back to Sports Talk once again. And we tip our cap to you, sir. Congratulations. Job well done.
Thanks, sir. It was a good team effort and good way to cap off a nice week.
Absolutely. What was your feeling going into the game based on what you saw in practice? How did you feel this team would play?
I thought we could, throw skill guys pretty well, short and long some. I felt confident, like I said, in both quarterbacks. And again, I felt good about the running game. We ran the inside zone pretty well all night, and that's what we worked on mainly, and made sure we could do it, at least that, as far as controlling the line of scrimmage on the run game.
Well, you did a pretty good job defensively overall. I mean, North Carolina only had 182 yards on 57 carries. So overall, your defense did a heck of a job. What did you see from the defensive standpoint with your coaches over there working with the defense? What kind of things did they do that led to that performance?
Well, I thought they really shut them down, but then they let them back in the game sometimes through loss of composure and just, jumping off sides. The first score they had really, I thought, to put them ahead at halftime, we really made them, easy for them to score.
Mm-hmm.
And we had continued their drive. We have several times third down and significant yardage, but then moved before the snap. They just drew us offside. And then again in the fourth quarter, we let our temper get the best of us and lost control again, and really led to their second score also. But I thought the defense shut them down, but then kind of let them back in the game through some not so good penalties.
Yeah. Well, you had to be pleased with that final drive because you've got a one-score lead, 17-13. You stop the Tar Heels. They punt. I'm sure they were thinking, get a stop, get the ball back. You took over at your own 29, and you ran out the clock. They never got the ball back. And what were you – obviously you were thinking ground game, move the chains, eat up the clock. What did you say to your guys on that last possession?
Well, like I said, we had the inside zone down pretty pat. They were forced. They couldn't do but one defense, so we were able to kind of do that with either the quarterback keeping it or either running back, Green taking the ball, and he's very good at reading that zone play. So, again, we just kind of grounded out to him.
What'd you think of Sellers was your quarterback there, looks like, for the better part of the second half, especially there in the fourth quarter. The way he ran the offense and the way Green ran the ball in that last possession, in particular, to run out the clock. What did you think of that combination?
Again, that was a winning combination for us because they're kind of unstoppable, and I think they're going to be very good at the next level also doing the same thing. Plus, the offensive line, like I said, I thought their pass protection was real good, and they, like I said, the running play that we had with Inside Zone was mighty good to us too.
Yeah. So can you tell us kind of what it was like when you met with the guys at the very end, that last conversation with them? After getting the win, you all know how important it is to the fans in South Carolina for the Sandlappers to win that game. It's just one of those things that we kind of cherish here in South Carolina. What was the meeting like with the guys, conversation you had with them as they went off their separate ways?
Well, they were definitely happy, and like I said, a lot of people had cameras, and they weren't going to turn those opportunities down to get in front of a camera. So didn't have very long with them. But I just personally, I told them the game was about them, but personally, it allowed me to go out with a 3-0 record against North Carolina, and that was very pleasing for me too.
I was going to say, yeah, great success for you as a player, assistant coach, and head coach. What does it mean to you besides the 3-0, having been involved with the game though 3 times? And knowing what the game means besides football, what do you take away from it now at this stage of your career?
Well, again, for me, it was payback because they took away my playing career, so I kind of got them back on the other end of it, my coaching career. And we had, a great game in 2000. We set a lot of records, beating them 66-14, and this game was equally good coming out of the three-year fall kind of deal. I thought it was real good.
Well, now, give us some details on that. When you say they took away your playing career, what happened there?
1967 is a cheap shot. I heard the whistle, then I felt the lick, and I was about 20 yards from the ball. Of course, it's just personal foul, but they completely tore my knee up, and that was it. We went from being recruited by Carolina Clemson Division I to not even being able to play football again. So I thought I was going to be a player, but God wanted me to be the coach, so that's the way I went.
Wow, I did not know that story. I didn't realize you got hurt in the Shrine Bowl, and that was your last game.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
And you held it against him this whole time.
God said, getting back is his job. So again, I allowed him to do what he wanted to do through me.
There you go. Talking with Jerry Brown. Are you going back to Berkeley? Are you going to coach another season?
Sure. Well, I always tell people I'm so beat up at the end of the year. This time of year, I'll let you know in February, is what I've been telling everybody for the last 10 years. But I need to recuperate some and get back in shape, and hopefully be able to continue to help my young men.
There you go. Does a week like this and a win like this maybe? I know you're tired because it's been a long season from your own team, and you're doubled up preparing for the Shrine Bowl while coaching your own team at Berkeley. But maybe this week and getting a W, does it maybe re-energize you a little bit and get you a little more pumped up for 23?
Well, absolutely. It's one of the few ways you have, unless you're going to win all the way through or win the last game, but going out a winner for the season. At the same time, the players really enjoy the week knowing one another. They took away some good memories. And the same thing with the coaching staff. You have really a close-knit coaching staff by the end of the week, and that's some great times. All the coaches said how much it meant to them just to be able to have a relationship in a week together, away from school, nothing to worry about with school, and you get real close to those coaches, and that's a lifetime of memories also.
Absolutely. What was it like for you guys practicing and playing at Spartanburg High School, first time at the venue at that new place?
It was great because the head coach of Spartanburg, Mark Hodge, was on our staff, and not only did he do a wonderful job on defense, but we also had the home locker room, and he had a lot of nice things for us in there, and it just made it a lot easier. But I had a wonderful staff this year. Coach Fleming from Broome also did the offense for us, and that's really one of the first games I've ever been able to be a real head coach before my whole career. I've always been able to have to look at both sides of the ball, or at least coordinate the offense, and for me to be able to sit back and just enjoy the game was interesting.
Yeah. Let's mention your assistants, Glenn Darby from Lake Marion. You mentioned Lynn Fleming from Broome, Brian Lane from Clover. You mentioned Mark Hodge from Spartanburg, Mitch Moten from Lower Richland, and John Moorfield from York. So congratulations to your entire staff. Who are you passing the baton on to? Who's the head coach for next year?
I don't know. I haven't heard. Actually, a lot of times I'm the last one to hear that.
Well, I thought, in the past they've announced it like at the game who the next guy's going to be, but they didn't do that, huh?
They've done that before, and they also do it at the February coaching clinic. So evidently that's what they're going to do this year.
Okay, very good. How'd you feel about the way the Shrine Bowl had been away for a couple of years, COVID, and then they passed on last year as well, so they brought it back this year. What does it look like from where you sit, the future for the game in the upstate, maybe, or somewhere else, Myrtle Beach, or what do you think is going to happen?
I think it'll continue to grow, and like I said, it was tough going 2 years without it, and it's just something in motion tends to stay in motion. Something in rest takes a lot of energy, and it took a lot of energy for the Shriners to pull this off this year. Kind of like starting all over is what one of them told me, but anyway, they did the work and got it back in, and they were a very good group to work for.
Last thing, we'll let you go. Throughout the spring and summer now in South Carolina, there are these combines that are being used to identify players for both the Touchstone Energy Bowl and the Shrine Bowl. How helpful are those combines? I think there's like maybe 4 of them across the state, 3 or 4 across the state. How helpful is that for the coaching staffs?
Well, the Coaches Association, I think, did 3, and then we only did 1 Shrine Bowl combine. The problem with that is we didn't have many of the players there that we wanted to see in our one, but at the same time, they were in one of the 3 probably the coaches had. So we got statistics as far as height, weight, and 40-yard dash on them, but then we didn't get to see a lot of them eye to eye because there were 4 of them across the state going on at different times. But that's just a tough thing to be able to eyeball them and get to see them with only having one. It's the only one we had after they had other 3 with the Coaches Association.
Would you like to see more dedicated just to the Shrine Bowl?
I think probably 2 just dedicated to the Shrine Bowl would be probably better for the coaches to be able to get an eye on them and see the players firsthand.
Yeah. Well, we congratulate you and the staff and the team once again. Great job. People of South Carolina proud of the Sandlappers, especially when they win. Accept them when they lose, but very proud when they win, of course. And it's a great W. South Carolina continues to lead that series against North Carolina, so that's something to feel great about. And Coach, have yourself a great holiday. Get yourself some rest. Enjoy everything, and we'll talk to you again next football season.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Coach Jerry Brown, Dr. Jerry Brown, and appreciate him. I learned something new from him every time we talk to him, and I've probably talked to him 50 times over the years about a number of different things. I learned something new. I didn't realize that his career ended in the Shrine Bowl, I tell you who else had a career. It didn't end his career, and I'm going to have to struggle here for the name for a moment. It'll come to me. It didn't end his career, but it changed the direction of his career. And it was the Mr. Football winner that year from Goose Creek. Somebody will help me out here. And he went to Georgia. He committed to Georgia. He was a terrific player. And it was Tremel Terry. And it was the opening kickoff of the Shrine Bowl his senior year. And he was back on kickoff return, and he got hit. And I think his leg planted, and he got hit and tore up his knee. And he never really got a chance coming off of that. He went to Georgia, tried to make it happen. But never really, I don't think he ever really recovered from that knee injury. So, hey, it's football, and we appreciate the coaches and players who give their time and efforts for the Touchstone Energy Bowl and the Shrine Bowl. You don't want to see an injury happen anywhere, but football players love playing football, and football coaches love coaching football. And, you don't want to run away from it because of the fear of injury and that sort of thing. You get out there and play and do your best, try and come home a winner, and hope everything goes well. We congratulate the Sandlappers once again. All right, we'll hit the break here on Sports Talk. On the other side, give you the wrap-up on recruiting from over the weekend and set the stage for what is ahead for us tomorrow night here on Sports Talk, which is a kind of a talking Tuesday because we've got a media session with the remaining South Carolina football players, or some of them. A number of them have departed some who are left are going to meet with the media tomorrow, and we'll have that covered for you. We're back after this break.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
When your day calls for some winning, why not watch your favorite football team at Dave & Buster's? We've got massive HD TVs and hundreds of the hottest new games. Sip from our chef-crafted cocktail menu with exclusive drinks such as the Strawberry Watermelon Margarita or Dangerous Waters. Cheer on the team with Cantina Nachos or wings featuring one of our 12 wing flavors. When your day calls for some winning, it's time for Dave & Buster's, where you can watch the games and play the games. Locations in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach.
Join the Trailblaze Challenge, the endurance hike program where big hearts come together for big steps to create hope for local Wish families through Make-A-Wish, South Carolina. This spring, take part in a new journey on the Palmetto Trail. From sunrise on the highest peak in South Carolina to the coastal marshes of the Lowcountry, hikers of all levels can support critically ill children, enjoy and explore the outdoors, and build South Carolina pride and community through an all-inclusive hike experience. Visit sctrailblazechallenge.org to learn how to get started. That's sctrailblazechallenge.org.
Okay. I get it. Okay.
There's his theme song. Your new Gamecock running back.
Yeah.
His theme song.
They should play that when he comes running out the tunnel, huh? Super Mario. If you missed it earlier in the show, we had Mario Anderson Jr. transferring from Newberry to USC on with us. We're having a little fun at the expense of his name there. All right, time for recruiting here on Sports Talk. It is brought to you by C. Wells. And, hey, the Daily Luncheon Buffet ongoing this week until Thursday. I think Thursday is the last day this week, the 22nd?
Wednesday. They will be closed both Thursday and Friday for the holidays.
Okay, yeah, they're closed 22nd, 23rd. So through Wednesday. So take advantage of the opportunity to get to Seawells, enjoy a tremendous, delicious lunch buffet for only $13. And always think about Seawells when you need the very best in the catering business. That is Seawells, none other than Seawells at 803-771-7385. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. So at one point, the Gamecocks had 7 commitment alerts hanging out there. Eventually, as some players came forward, as you know, just to recap, one transfer center, Nick Gargiulo, 6'5", 290 from Yale, captain of the team, first team all Ivy League, helped lead his team to an Ivy League championship, played in 25 games in his career, was named to the New England Football Writers All New England team. And, of course, his coach there, Coach Reno, his son, Dante Reno, is committed to the Gamecocks for the 24 class right now. Of course, you heard Mario Anderson Jr., 5'10", make that 5'11", 215, 1,500 yards plus last season, 19 touchdowns, averaged over 7 yards a carry. Receiver corner Tyshawn Russell, 6'2", 185, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, coming off a state championship win, 57 catches, 1,213 yards, and 18 touchdowns this season. Also had 2 picks on defense. And the fourth one for the Gamecocks, the tight end, Florida transfer, Nick Elksness, 6'6", 243. Appeared in 9 games over 2 seasons. He was basically a backup special teams guy, and he'll have a chance to improve on that at South Carolina. All right. South Florence quarterback Lenora Sellers told us last night that he had no visits over the weekend from anybody. He did talk with several USC coaches, cell and text on Saturday. Also talked with Syracuse during the week. He plans to sign Wednesday morning, but not announce until a ceremony at his school Friday at 11:30. He put the strength of his Syracuse commitment at between a 6 and a 7 as of yesterday. Former Clemson receiver Dakari Collins is transferring to North Carolina State. Former Clemson corner Fred Davis to UCF. Former Clemson linebacker Levanta Bentley to Colorado. USC commitment safety Vicari Swain took an official to Colorado over the weekend. He was offered last week by Deion Sanders. Former Coastal offensive lineman Willie Lampkin to North Carolina, and former Coastal defensive end Josiah Stewart to Michigan. Former Dutch Fork receiver and Charlotte transfer Elijah Spencer to Minnesota. Former USC safety Shiloh Sanders transferring again, this time away from Jackson State, probably headed to Colorado with his brother, the quarterback, and his father, the coach. USC made the top 13 with 2024 defensive back Tyson White of Buford, Georgia. The others on his new short list, Florida, Florida State, Michigan State, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Virginia Tech, Colorado. You're going to hear a lot of Colorado in the next year. Texas, Auburn, North Carolina, Michigan, and Tennessee. And let's see. By the way, going back to Lenora Sellers, he talked about being around a lot of Gamecock commitments at the Shrine Bowl, and they were on him quite a bit about South Carolina. And he talked a lot with Dowell Loggins, who was telling him about his experience with other quarterbacks and what he learned from other quarterbacks and things that he will teach his quarterbacks at South Carolina. So, again, he's thinking about all these things. What a season he had. 4,286 total yards and 67 touchdowns, 45 of them through the air. Gamecock target, linebacker Cameron Robinson. He's going to sign at 6 o'clock, at least the public signing. Again, schools want you to sign first thing in the morning. He visited USC over the weekend, but he's been committed to Virginia. In his tweet today, he was in a Virginia uniform. So I don't know if that's a telltale sign or he's just playing with everybody. We shall see. USC offered 2024 receiver Parker Livingstone, 25 receiver Dalen McCutcheon, 23 offensive tackle Campbell Vandiver. He's from Nashville. He's 6'8", 275. And the Gamecocks also have an offer out today to Devon Mitchell. He's a tight end, and he is from Allen, Texas. He's 6'4", 230, and he's out of Allen, Texas. And got to believe he's in the 2024 class, I would think. And also the Gamecocks are in the top 12 with wide receiver Kalen Adams of Virginia Beach. The others are Florida State, North Carolina, Miami, Penn State, East Carolina, Virginia Tech, Michigan State, Pitt, Ole Miss, Duke, and West Virginia. So for now, that is what we've got in recruiting. Of course, we're keeping an eye on everything, and you can keep an eye on our stuff on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting to take you right to our stuff. National Signing Day will be here Wednesday. What is today? It will be here Wednesday, and we'll be up early Wednesday. Things have changed now. Basically, you sit back and you wait for the schools to tweet out their signees because they do it so quickly. The signees send in do they still fax? I don't know if they still fax or it's all digital, but anyway, they send in whatever it is they send in, how they send it in, and the schools tweet it out, and then we just retweet or put out our own tweets once the schools have confirmed the signing. So that's a lot simpler. Again, it looks like Clemson is pretty much set with its class. The Gamecocks have a little bit of drama going into Wednesday, like with Lenora Sellers. They had the tight end in for an official visit this past weekend from Texas, who remains he's been committed to Miami, but he visited South Carolina over the weekend, and they'll have a chance off that visit. I would think they will have a chance with him, and that is where is he? What's his name? Well, they had Trey Knox in, the tight end transfer from Arkansas, and that would be a possibility for South Carolina still. And they are really loading up on tight end possibilities for the Gamecocks this year. What is that tight end's name? Give me a second here before we sign off. My goal.
While you're looking for that, Oluwatosin Bobalade did not make his announcement tonight, but said he will be making one tomorrow.
Well, he's going to make an announcement tomorrow. Okay. Well, I'll find this guy's name by tomorrow night and have it for you then. Otherwise, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow here on Sports Talk.
Someone will be right with you.